Dr. Mehmet Oz is a medical doctor. This is not one of the doctors who is not a medical doctor, but he unfortunately has gone completely off the rails. Mehmet Oz is the administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. He appeared on Newsmax to talk about the flu. As many of you know, the flu was in my house. It entered 2 weeks ago, probably through the front door, attached to my daughter. And then it spread through the house and everybody got it, and it's been complete chaos. So the flu is in a lot of places. Dr. Oz went on Newsmax to talk about the super flu. He had a long list of ideas for how to deal with, prevent the flu, minimize its seriousness. But not there is, hey, by the way, we have this thing called the flu shot, which is extraordinarily effective at keeping people out of hospitalization from the flu. He just goes, the flu shot doesn't work very well. But here's a bunch of other ideas. Let's listen to what he has to say, and then we will evaluate each of the things he says. And remember, this is a real doctor. This is not one of those situations where it's like, oh, I'm Dr. So-and-so. You're a chiropractor. You're not a medical doctor. What are you talking about here? Oh, I'm a doctor and I'm giving medical advice. Oh, really? Because you have a PhD in some liberal art, which is a valuable degree for that field, but not for medicine. No. This is an actual medical doctor.
So what's going on here?
Well, flu is always a problem. Every year there's a flu vaccine. It doesn't always work very well. That's why it's been controversial of late. But like many illnesses,
it's actually been controversial because we have ushered in this completely whacked out anti-vax ideology. That's why it's become controversial.
The best news out there is if you can take care of yourself so that when you do end up running into the flu, you can overwhelm it as much as it's trying to overwhelm you, you do better. So things like getting sunlight, and if you can't do that in northern parts of the country, which is tough this time of year, take some vitamin D. Zinc seems to be effective as a basic supplement. But fundamentally, the MAGA initiatives, eat the right food, food that came out of the ground looking the way it looks when you eat it and consume it, and getting physical activity actually makes sense. But the most important tool of all is sleep. It is the main way we generate growth hormone, gets our immune system psyched up. So if you can get your sleep in this time of year, which can be tough because during the holiday season, folks go to work, they go party, they have fun with their families, they deal with all the mishigash that surrounds all those three issues, and they get worn down. It tends to set you up for a bad flu.
Well, listen, mishigas aside, working out sounds great. Remaining active, great. I mean, that's a basic risk factor reduction activity. Eating as little processed food as possible, that's phenomenal. I advocate that. I don't know any doctor who goes, no, more processed food. But let's really think about what Dr. Oz is saying here. First, let's go through his suggestions. Sunlight and vitamin D. If you are deficient in vitamin D, supplementing to a normal level will help you be normal in your immune response. It doesn't, if you have an adequate baseline level of vitamin D, supplementing to raise it even higher is not going to help you. I previously, I think it was in March, sort of like when I would imagine living in the Northeast, my vitamin D would be the lowest. I got a vitamin D test and it was borderline. I think you want to be at 30 and I was at 29 or something like that. And so this was before I was taking a multivitamin powder. I said, all right, well, listen, multivitamins contain vitamin D. I will do that. I'll get my supplement. And my vitamin D level has been normal since. There's no additional benefit to just supercharging the amount of vitamin D, and it can even have some negative effects. So that is a perfectly reasonable thing if you are deficient, but beyond getting to the normal level, you're not going to get a benefit from it. Now, sunlight as a source, as opposed to vitamin D supplementation, fine. The thing about sunlight and the flu is if you're outside while getting sunlight, you're not inside. Flu spreads more inside, so that can certainly help. But there's no meaningful evidence on sunlight and vitamin D beyond, are you deficient? If you're not deficient, you're getting the maximum benefit you can in general. Then he talks about zinc. Very weak evidence with zinc. Again, beyond, do you have the adequate level or are you deficient? If you are not deficient, supplementing zinc has not been shown in studies to help prevent flu or reduce influenza incidence in human studies. No effect on preventing. And then if you're deficient, maybe there's weak evidence that if you're zinc deficient, you might have a longer flu or be less equipped to fight it. But if you have an adequate zinc level, that's about as far as you can go with zinc. Now, then Dr. Oz talks about sleep. And he says it psychs up the immune system. Proper sleep lets the immune system function normally. If you're getting a reasonable amount of sleep, your kind of innate and adaptive immunity will perform. You'll have the expected amount of antibody production and immune memory. In other words, if you're not getting enough sleep, you might have more of an inflammatory response. It might take the body maybe a little bit longer to clear or develop antibodies against the flu. But again, if you're getting a normal amount of sleep, that's about as you can do, good as you can do. It doesn't give you any extra protection. Now, most of the things that I've just mentioned, you accomplish with a basic multivitamin tablet, gummy, or powder. You got to get your vitamin D. Well, you've just got to have an adequate level. For most people, the multivitamin is enough. Zinc, you just got to have an adequate level. You take a year-round multivitamin, you're going to have that. What about the flu vaccine? Now, there are years where the flu vaccine is not very good at preventing the flu. This year is an example. We have this H3N2 strain of the flu. There's another one. There's a ton of flu. It's very prevalent. They're calling it the super flu. Okay, this year the flu vaccine is not particularly good at preventing you from getting the flu, but it is still extraordinarily good at reducing the chances that you end up hospitalized because of the flu. Over the last couple of weeks, I've talked to a lot of doctor friends of mine, including those who work in ER and pediatric ER, and they've said the ER is filled with people who are sick enough from the flu to come to the hospital, and some of them are sick enough that we have to admit them. If you get the flu shot, you are significantly less likely to end up in that situation. You'll still get the flu. You'll be sick for a few days, but you are far less likely to end up hospitalized. Shouldn't that be the top line? The top line is start with the flu shot because it's so good at keeping you out of the hospital. No, it's, hey, there's this shot, but it's controversial because it's not very good. So sunlight, zinc, sleep, etc. Perfectly reasonable recommendations in general. If you're not getting enough sleep, your body is going to be less able to fight off viral infections. If you have an inadequate vitamin D level, that is going to affect your body. If you aren't anywhere close to the amount of zinc you need. But most people with a normal diet and certainly with a multivitamin are going to be okay there. How about the flu shot, which will significantly reduce the odds you end up in the hospital? These people are irresponsible and it all flows down from the top. But remember, Trump has sort of toyed with this anti-vax movement. He's talked about medical freedom and he wants the political benefit. But Trump gets his flu and COVID boosters every year because that's what he's determined is actually best. The other crap is a political tool. Appreciate you watching. Stick around for this next video and don't forget to hit subscribe so you actually see our uploads. You can also catch the full podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.